Today I am joined by Shannon Friesen. She is a crop extension specialist with the Government of Saskatchewan. Shannon, thank you for joining me.
Oh, not a problem. Thanks so much.
Can you tell me where this year's crops are at right now?
So in terms of crop development, things are well ahead of where they normally would be for this time of year. So of course, due to the drought, the dry conditions, the lack of moisture, the very hot temperatures we've had over the last couple of months, things are advancing very quickly. So we are probably at least a good, anywhere from 1 week to maybe even 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So of course, along with those dry conditions come a lot of issues, and we do have a lot of crops that are what we would call, maybe fair to poor in condition. So certainly not what we would like to see. Of course, it's no surprise given our conditions that they are in such poor condition. But we are hopeful that, some of these hot temperatures can kind of simmer down a little bit, and we can get some cooler weather to at least allow for crops to finish development and hopefully get some yield off of them.
And I saw in the crop report, it said that any moisture we get from this point on won't really help the yield from this year's crops. It'll just help with next year. We're not even into August yet. When was the last time that this happened so early in the growing year?
As far as I've been along, it's never, I guess, happened when I remember. But we often hear people talk about like the drought in like 02, 03 or back in 88. So I think, a lot of the same conditions happened, 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's kind of unusual in the fact that like harvest has begun for a lot of producers already. Typically we see that in parts of the south, like especially that southwest corner, even the west central region. But what's going to be unusual this year too is that probably in about 2 or 3 weeks we're going to have like a lot of combines even in the north actually in the fields, which is not usually something we tend to see. Usually the crop continues growing, we get lots of moisture, things are really looking good for a couple more weeks. So it has been quite a few years since that last drought. And certainly, as far as I can remember in my short years or whatever, it's the earliest harvest we're probably going to have.
That's insane. And I've been talking with a lot of farmers, and it seems like every time I talk with them, they bring up 2002 just because it was so awful there. A couple weeks ago, they were saying like, oh, it feels like it might be similar to 2002, but now with the conditions, it seems like we're at the same place maybe that we were at in 2002. Is that correct?
I think certainly there are comparisons to both years. We have high grasshopper populations, for example. We do have feed shortages out there. So probably the biggest difference, of course, is that it's been 20 years. Like we have a lot more, I guess, advances in technology and genetics of crops and that sort of thing. But all those are great. But if you run out of moisture, it really doesn't matter what's going to happen. So, yeah.
And it seems like farmers are getting hit with everything. There's the winds, the high heat, the no moisture, the grasshoppers. Is there any silver lining to this growing year?
I don't know if there is. It seems like everything that could have happened has happened this year. Certainly there are areas of the province, like in the southeast, that are doing much better than others, and that's mainly because they have received rain. So many producers in that corner, they're pulling off, really good like hay yields. They're expecting crop yields to be normal, if not above normal. But for the rest of the province, it's certainly as dry as can be. There's really no true silver lining, I guess. I think a lot of producers just want to get the year over with. Let's get this crop off. Let's get our livestock fed and watered, hopefully, and let's just get it off, and we'll kind of worry about next year. As we always say in the farming world, like there's always next year, but we are hopeful that, of course, come fall time that we get, a lot of rain to actually recharge both the subsoil and the topsoil. Because of course, if we don't, we are right back into this situation next spring where we might not even be able to seed a crop. So we are just crossing our fingers and really hoping that something happens in the next couple months here and we can actually get that crop off and hopefully a crop in next year as well.
Yeah, and this is, a really tough time on producers, and there are resources available to help them.
Yeah, probably just a really good reminder for producers that there is the farm stress line available if they have any, questions or they need support in anything. So that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And producers can call 1-800-667-4442 and be in touch with a counselor. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being able to join me.
Oh, not a problem. Thanks so much.